The rain hammered against the windows of Clara Bennett's third-floor apartment, a relentless drumming that matched the uneasy rhythm of her thoughts. She hadn't slept well again. The late nights at the architectural firm were bleeding into her personal life, leaving her exhausted and distracted. But today, something else had her pulse jumping. A package had been delivered to her door. Not just any package, a sleek, black box tied with a silver ribbon, the kind that whispered luxury and secrecy. The problem, it wasn't hers. The label bore her address, but the name Elias Voss was unfamiliar. She turned the box over in her hands, curiosity gnawing at her. Maybe it was a neighbor's misdelivered mail. She should return it. But then again, the weight was odd. Not heavy, but not light either. Something shifted inside with a soft thud. Clara hesitated only a second before tugging the ribbon loose. Inside, nestled in black velvet, was a single envelope. Thick, expensive paper, sealed with wax and ornate V pressed into the deep red. Her fingers tingled as she broke the seal. My dearest, the roses in the garden are in full bloom, just as you predicted. I find myself thinking of your laugh, how it sounds when you're trying to hide it from the others. Tonight, same place. Don't keep me waiting. V. Clara's breath caught. A love letter. A clandestine one, judging by the tone. But who was Elias Voss and who was V? She should have stopped there. Should have taped the box shut and left it at the front desk for the rightful owner. But the mystery hooked into her, pulling like a tide. She flipped the envelope over, no return address. The postmark was smudged, unreadable. Then she noticed it. Tucked into the corner of the box, nearly hidden beneath the velvet lining, a photograph. A man, mid-laugh, caught in a sunlit cafe. Dark hair, sharp jaw, eyes that seemed to look right at her. Her stomach lurched. She knew him. Daniel Hartman. Her ex. The man who had vanished from her life 6 months ago without a word. Clara's hands shook. What the hell was his picture doing in this box? Was he Elias Voss? No, that made no sense. Daniel was an investment banker, not some mysterious figure with wax-sealed letters. Unless she hadn't known him at all. A knock at her door made her jump. She shoved the letter and photo back into the box, heart pounding. The knock came again, firmer this time. Clara forced herself to move. Through the peephole, she saw a man in a dark coat, his face obscured by the angle. Yes, she called, voice tighter than she intended. Miss Bennett, a smooth, unfamiliar voice. I believe you have something that belongs to me. Her pulse spiked. Elias Voss. Clara's grip on the box tightened. Every instinct screamed not to open the door. But the curiosity, the need to know, was stronger. She turned the lock. The man on the other side was taller than she expected. Impeccably dressed, with sharp features and an air of quiet danger. His eyes locked onto the box in her hands, then lifted to hers. You opened it. Not a question. Clara swallowed. It was delivered to me by mistake. A slow smile curved his lips, one that didn't reach his eyes. Mistakes, he said softly, are rarely accidents. And just like that, Clara realized. She wasn't holding a misdelivered package. She was holding the first thread of a very, very dangerous secret. The rain hadn't stopped for 3 days. Clara Bennett pressed her forehead against the cool glass of her apartment window, watching the neon signs across the street bleed into watery streaks of color. She exhaled, fogging the pain, then absently traced a question mark in the condensation. She should have handed over the box. That's what a normal person would have done, given the mysterious package to the stranger at her door and forgotten about it. But the moment Elias Voss stepped into her apartment, his presence like a shadow stretching too far, she knew there was no walking away. You're curious, he said, not bothering to sit when she offered. His fingers had brushed hers as he took the box back, and she swore the temperature in the room dropped. That's dangerous. Now, the empty spot on her coffee table where the box had been gnawed at her. She should have taken a photo of the letter. Should have kept the picture of Daniel. Why was Daniel's photo in a stranger's love letter? Her phone buzzed. An unknown number. Unknown, you shouldn't have opened it. Clara's breath hitched. She typed back before she could think better of it. Clara, who is this? 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Then. Unknown, look outside. Her stomach dropped. She yanked the curtains wider. The street below was slick with rain, nearly empty except for the figure standing beneath the flickering street lamp. Tall. Dark coat. Elias. He lifted his phone, and hers buzzed again. Unknown, you want answers? Meet me. Then, before she could respond, unknown, or don't. But he'll keep sending them. And next time, it won't be a box. A chill skittered down her spine. She looked back out the window, but the street lamp illuminated nothing but rain. Elias was gone. The cafe was the kind of place Clara used to love: warm lighting, the smell of espresso, the quiet hum of conversation. Now, every glance from a stranger felt weighted. Every footstep behind her made her shoulders tense. She spotted him in the corner. Elias sat with the ease of a man who owned the room, one hand curled around a coffee cup, the other tapping something into his phone. He didn't look up as she approached. You knew Daniel? She didn't sit. Elias's thumb paused mid-message. Sit down, Clara. Tell me why his photo was in that box. Finally, he lifted his gaze. His eyes were darker than she remembered, the kind of brown that swallowed light. Because, he said slowly, he's the one who sent it. The world tilted. Daniel had sent the letter, but that's impossible. Her voice sounded thin. Daniel's been gone for 6 months. No calls, no texts. Nothing. Elias leaned forward, lowering his voice. He didn't leave you, Clara. He was taken. The air left her lungs. And the letters. Elias continued, watching her carefully. They're not love notes. They're proof. Proof of what? Before she could ask, Elias slid a folded piece of paper across the table. He's alive. And if you want to see him again, you'll do exactly as I say. Clara unfolded the paper. It was another letter, same elegant script, same red wax seal. But this time, it was addressed to her. The third letter arrived at 3:07 a.m. Clara knew the exact time because she'd been staring at the ceiling for hours, the glow of streetlights painting stripes across her bedroom wall. The soft thud against her front door might as well have been a gunshot. She didn't move. Not when the floorboards creaked outside her apartment. Not when the elevator down the hall chimed its departure. Only when her alarm clock flipped to 3:22 did she peel back the covers, her bare feet meeting cold hardwood. The envelope slid into view as she opened the door. Cream linen paper, propped against the threshold like a dare. No box this time. No ribbon. Just her name in that same precise script, the C in Clara curled like a scorpion's tail. Inside, 2 words, ask him. Clara's fingers trembled. The photograph from the first package burned in her memory. Daniel's laugh, the sunlight catching his wedding band. Their wedding band. The one he'd supposedly stopped wearing months before he vanished. She grabbed her phone. Elias answered on the first ring. You got it. Not a question. How did you? Look out your window. The glass exploded before she could turn. Clara hit the ground as shards rained around her, her scream lost in the screech of tearing metal. Something heavy crashed through the wreckage, a canister spewing thick, ember smoke. Elias's voice crackled through the phone, don't breathe. Get to the fire escape now. She crawled, eyes streaming. The smoke smelled like burnt honey, clinging to her skin, her hair. Behind her, the front door burst open. Clara. A voice she hadn't heard in 6 months. A voice that didn't belong in her shattered apartment at 3:29 a.m. Daniel. She turned just as a gloved hand yanked her backward through the broken window. Elias's forearm locked across her chest as the fire escape groaned beneath them. Above, black-clad figures swarmed her apartment. Below, the alley yawned like an open grave. They're not here for the letters, Elias hissed in her ear. His breath smelled like mint and gunpowder. They're here for you. The last thing Clara saw before they rappelled into darkness was Daniel standing in her ruined bedroom holding a gun to the head of a man wearing his face. The amber smoke still clung to Clara's hair as she pressed against the alley wall, Elias's body shielding hers from the streetlights. His fingers dug into her waist where the harness had bitten during their too-fast descent. Somewhere above, men shouted in a language she didn't recognize. You're shaking, Elias murmured. His lips barely moved. She wasn't. Not until he said it. Then her hands betrayed her, trembling against the brick at her back. That was Daniel's voice. Elias's eyes flicked to her apartment window 6 stories up. No. That was someone who studied every recording of Daniel Hartman ever made. A pause. Including yours. The implication slithered down her spine. They'd listened to her private moments. Her fights. A metallic click cut off the thought. Elias's pistol appeared in his hand like a magic trick, aimed at the dumpster 10 feet away. "Come out slowly," he called, "or I ventilate your spleen." The garbage shifted. A gloved hand emerged, palm out. Then a shock of auburn hair as a woman stepped into the dim light, her leather jacket creaking. "Relax, Voss. I'm on your side this week." Elias didn't lower the gun. "Clara, meet Lane. Professional forger and occasional pain in my..." "Charmed." Lane tossed a manila envelope at Clara's feet. "Your husband's real last message. Not the pretty love notes the imposters have been planting." Clara crouched, her knees popping. The envelope contained a single photograph, Daniel handcuffed to a hospital bed, his mouth taped shut. Scrawled on his bare chest in what looked like lipstick, "Tell her to stop looking." Lane lit a cigarette, the flare illuminating the scar across her throat. "Your boy's alive because they think he's the only one who can replicate V's handwriting. Turns out." She blew smoke at Elias. "He's not." Clara's head snapped up. "You can fake it too." Elias finally holstered his gun. "No." His thumb brushed the inside of her wrist where her veins pulsed. "You can." The calligraphy nib snapped under Clara's grip, splattering midnight black ink across the vellum like a Rorschach blot. "Again," Elias growled, slapping down another sheet of handmade paper. His knuckles were still bloody from the basement interrogation. Clara's hand hovered over the fresh page, her wrist aching from 6 hours of failed forgeries. The scent of iron gall ink mixed with Lane's cigarette smoke and the coppery tang of fear. Somewhere below their feet, the bound man, her dead calligraphy professor, moaned through his gag. "Focus," Elias snapped. "That looping V isn't just your signature. It's a key." Lane spun the photograph of Daniel on the table. "See how the fake letters all curve out on the third stroke, yours always tuck in." She traced the air. "Like you're drawing a noose." Clara's breath hitched. She'd doodled that exact shape in margins for years, architecture sketches, grocery lists, their wedding vows. Daniel used to kiss the spot between her thumb and forefinger when he caught her doing it. "My little hangman," he'd tease. The basement door burst open. "Company," panted the lookout, a wiry teen with a security guard's uniform. 3 SUVs rolling up silent. Elias moved first, snatching the half-finished forgery. They tracked the ink. His eyes locked on Clara. "You have 60 seconds to write what I say exactly." Lane racked a shotgun. "Make it count, darling." The pen became a weapon in Clara's hand. Elias dictated coordinates, account numbers, a kill order disguised as poetry. Her muscles remembered before her mind did the pressure, the slant, the secret rhythm that made her handwriting hers. Tires crunched gravel outside. "Last line," Elias whispered, lips brushing her ear. "The roses are wilting." Clara's nib hesitated. That wasn't in any of the fake letters. But her hand moved anyway, the letters flowing like a confession. Glass shattered upstairs. Boots pounded through the halls. Elias snatched the finished letter, pressed a kiss to the fresh ink, and threw it into the furnace. "Now they'll really come for you." As flames consumed her words, Clara understood the forgeries were never about accuracy. They were bait. And she'd just signed her own name on the trap. The dead drop location was a ghost station, an abandoned subway platform buried beneath New York's financial district. The air smelled of damp concrete and burnt copper. Clara's footsteps echoed as she stepped onto the platform, Elias's gun pressed into the small of her back. "He'll be here," Elias had said. "And he'll have a choice to make." The platform was empty except for a single wooden desk, an antique inkwell, and a sheet of pristine paper. A pen lay across it, glinting under the flickering fluorescence. Then, from the shadows, he emerged. Daniel, or the man who had been Daniel. His face was thinner, harder, but his eyes were the same. The eyes that had watched her across breakfast tables, that had darkened with desire, that had lied to her for years. "Clara," he said, and her name sounded like a requiem on his lips. Elias's grip on the gun tightened. "Enough games, V. It's over." Daniel V smiled. Not the boyish grin Clara remembered, but something colder. Sharper. "It's never over." He nodded to the desk. "You know what to do." Clara stepped forward. The pen felt like a scalpel in her hand. "Right," Daniel urged. "One last letter." The one that ends it all. Elias's voice was raw. Clara, don't. But she was already moving. Her hand flew across the page, not in the looping script they expected, but in jagged, furious strokes. She wasn't forging. She wasn't obeying. She was rewriting. When she finished, she slammed the pen down. Daniel's smile faltered as he read it. I remember everything. A beat of silence. Then, the platform's lights cut out. In the darkness, gunfire erupted. Muzzle flashes illuminated the chaos. Elias lunging, Daniel reaching into his coat, Lane's shotgun roaring from the stairwell. Clara didn't flinch. She reached into her pocket and pulled out the real final letter, the one she'd written hours ago, the one only Elias would recognize. It bore 2 words, burn it all. And as the fire spread, as the shadows screamed, Clara Bennett walked away not as a pawn, not as a forgery, but as the architect of her own ending. The final image, a charred scrap of paper floating on the East River at dawn. The ink has bled, but 3 letters remain visible, not V, but CB. And somewhere, in the ruins of a burned-out safe house, a typewriter clicks to life on its own, typing one last sentence over and over. She was always the best of us. The end.